What's up, YouTube? How's it going? Mark Davis back for another week of the Weekly 5, my little video log web show thing where I find 5 absolute failures on the internet of one theme or another and then show them to you so you can laugh at these people. This week, we're doing top 5 politicians failing in rhetoric and argument. I hunt down 5 absolute failures in argument and rhetorical structure of politicians and then show them to you so that all you aspiring young politicians can learn how not to argue before you get up on stage and fail in front of America. Here we go. Number 1, Al Gore in his 1992 acceptance speech for the Democratic nomination for vice president. That's a mouthful. Uses this nice, pretty analogy of his son, when his son got hit by a car, laying in a gutter, about to die, and they nursed him back to health. He uses that as an analogy for America laying in a gutter because of 12 years of Republican rule and how he's going to nurse it back to health.
And you will see that our democracy is lying there in the gutter, waiting for us to give it a second breath of life.
Thanks, Al Gore. That's a really pretty analogy, but don't try to use it as proof, because I'm here to tell you that if you use a false or maybe not correctly connecting analogy, it doesn't constitute proof of your point. It's pretty, and it might get people to support you, but it's not proof. You can't use an analogy as proof of your argument because all it is in the end is symbolic. Sorry, Al. Number 2, argument ad nauseum. That's where you repeat something again and again and again in hopes that maybe it'll actually turn true if you say it enough. Bill Clinton is a master of this. Here's a little clip for you.
I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These allegations are false.
He tries to prove to himself that he did not have sexual relations with Monica Lewinsky by saying it again and again and again, and believe it or not, after saying it that many times, it still was a lie on his part. They proved that later. That's a pretty bad fail in logic for those of you that couldn't tell. Sorry, Bill. Number 3, attacking people. Not like physically beating them with a bat as a method of argument, though that has been proven successful on multiple accounts, especially by our friends the Mafia. But I mean attack ads and stuff like that. Representative from California, Mr. Tom McClintock, I believe his name was something like that, has a great example of this for us, where he tries to disprove healthcare by proving what the government can't do and then saying that obviously then it can't do healthcare.
We're asked to accept 3 arguments that are fundamentally absurd. First, that the same government that pioneered $400 hammers and $600 toilet seats is somehow going to control our health care costs. Second, that the same government that runs FEMA is going to make our health care system more efficient and responsive. And third, that the same government that runs the IRS is going to make our health care more compassionate and understanding.
It's almost kind of a straw man argument, where you bring up a point and attack it, and it has nothing to do with what you're actually talking about, but you use that against them anyway. So thank you, Mr. McClintock, for attacking people and throwing straw mans around and not proving your point. Sorry, Tom. Number 4 is incredibly popular in modern politics, almost as popular as the attack ad. It's called argument ad metum, known to most of us as scare tactics. Here, President Bush uses 9/11 to scare people.
The enemies who attacked us on September the 11th, 2001 want to bring further destruction to our country. They will follow us to the United States of America.
Granted, 9/11 was scary, but if your argument relies on scaring people, it's probably not very correct. While scaring people is entirely valid in its own right, it's not a method of argument, and if your argument relies on scaring people, it's not any more valid for it. Sorry, Bush. Finally, my personal favorite, the unfalsifiable hypothesis. It's a long word for you can't prove me wrong, so I must be right. Here, with a classic example of it, we're back to where we started. This is kind of Al Gore.
I'm here to educate you about the single biggest threat to our planet. I'm talking, of course, about man-bear pig. It is half man, half bear, and half pig. Some people say that man-bear pig isn't real.
Can't really prove him right either, but you can't prove him wrong, so man-bear pig must be real. The entire argument doesn't really work because it relies upon the fact that you can't prove him wrong, It's just made up. Sorry again, Al. That was it for this week on the Weekly Top 5. Hopefully you enjoyed this ridiculous summation of idiocy here. We'll see you guys next week on the Weekly Top 5. Mark Davis, signing off. Peace out.